Aaron Gordon are good draft picks. Aaron Gordon was drafted too high in my opinion, but they have things to look forward to next year, much like the 76ers, but they're not going to win, and they're probably going to be in the bottom of their division.
I think they'll finish last place. 24 wins. I don't know what to say. I mean, this is a new type of Magic. There's not much to say.
Yeah.
24 wins. Over or under?
I would go under. I don't see them winning that much unless Aaron Gordon and Elfrid Payton, one, mesh well, and two, play above average as rookies.
I can agree with that. Moving on, the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks. These guys always seem to make the playoffs. They always seem to mesh well into that. Into this weird, whatever you want to call it, this playoff picture. They got Thabo Sefolosha, which was a great. I think that it was a great acquisition. I think he's going to help that team even more. It's the same roster basically in Atlanta. Kyle Korver is still going to start. Teague is going to start. Carroll, Millsap, and Horford.
The return of Al Horford is the biggest storyline for the Atlanta Hawks.
This is like the okay. You know how on Twitter they have that one. They have that it's called average life goals. You heard of this Twitter page?
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh wow, it's a 2-bedroom house with 3 baths. Oh my god, this is what it is. This is an average life goal. This is supposed to be a team that's supposed to be subpar. That's just a little bit over par. And I think it's amazing that Atlanta is able to consistently make the playoffs and consistently disappoint their fans every year.
Yeah.
This team is going to go nowhere. They're not going to win the playoffs, but they'll make the playoffs. And I think
middle of the road.
I think that is great. Huh?
They're very middle of the road.
They're very middle of the road. They are the shy, awkward 16-year-old sophomore that doesn't catch the eye of any seniors.
Exactly.
42 wins for the Atlanta Hawks. Over or under?
That's about right. They're such an average team, and when your win-loss record's basically 500, that's pretty much as average as you could get. They got lucky with the draft this year because it was just so stacked full of good talent that they got Adrian Payne. But
I think he can learn a lot from Horford and Millsap.
Definitely. Especially when he's about the same size as Millsap, and he can learn from an undersized power.
If he can be 3/4 the player that Millsap is, I look for these guys to have a good year. And you have Sefolosha coming off the bench as a defensive shooting guard, which I like a lot. And I like
3-and-D guy.
I think Al Horford, his return, because they didn't have him in the playoffs last year.
No.
So I think these guys will win their first round matchup. There will be a parade, of course, in Atlanta, and they'll proceed to be swept by their next opponent.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on, the next team on our list, the Charlotte Hornets. A new look for these fresh young talent, these good old chaps looking good. Now, there's some controversy. Would you put the Hornets in the second spot or in the third spot?
I think that the Miami Heat is better, so I'd keep them at the third spot. However, I really like the addition of Lance Stevenson, and I'm interested to see if he can work well with Kemba.
I like all of these. I like how they only lost Josh McRoberts. McRoberts was a valuable piece on that team,
but replaceable.
It's true. He is replaceable. So the Hornets. Let's look at their depth chart. Walker, Stevenson, Kid Gilchrist, Williams, and Jefferson. I think I like this team. Jefferson is playing the best basketball he's ever played in his career, and he's playing the best.
Despite being 30, despite being past his prime.
And he's possibly one of the best centers in the league right now.
I agree that he's the best center because he's just so offensively gifted, and he's so big that he could beat you in the paint when you're trying to, in terms of defense, that Yeah, I consider him the best.
I feel like him leaving Indiana ushered in a new age for this Charlotte team.
For Lance
So
Stevens, yeah.
I think Walker is getting a lot of more. He's getting a lot of dribbles. First off, these guys aren't. These guys are legitimate conference finals appearance. They have a good chance of making an appearance in the conference finals. They're able. They look. They have zero playoff wins in their in their history, but I look for them to make a big splash in the playoffs. They have them going 45-37. I like them to go 47-35. What do you think?
Yeah, they'll definitely have a winning record. I think they'll hit rough patches to where they're going to have some losing streaks, but 45-37, I have them go a little over just because I really like Lance.
It's a hot topic of the night, presented by Burger King. Let's just talk about the additions. Luol Deng, Josh McRoberts, Shabazz Napier, Shannon Brown, Danny Granger, Reggie Williams, Sean Williams. It's like, let's take all the players that no one else wanted. Luol Deng was
the most decent players nobody else wants.
Yeah. Danny Granger, I like the Luol Deng. I like that pick. I like the Josh McRoberts pick. Shabazz Napier,
I like him. He was
overrated. He can learn a lot from Mario Chalmers, I think.
Mario Chalmers, 3-time NBA champion.
Mario Chalmers is actually a good player. Why do you laugh when I say that?
Because he's just gets made fun of a lot because he was with the big three, and then there's Mario, and then.
What about the center position? Dennis Haslam.
No, they had Chris Bosh at center, but Udonis has been with the Heat for so long that people love him, but Mario has yet to really.
Well, if you remember back in 2010, if you remember who played point guard there, it was a combination. It was Carlos Arroyo, who we haven't heard of in years, and then it was Mike Bibby at the tailspin of his career. Mike
Bibby was okay then.
And then Mike Bibby played some disgusting basketball in New York with Baron Davis that just did not work. It looked like the Dodgers back in 2012 when they were trying to put together players who they thought.
That big scandal going on, yeah.
Anyways, LeBron James, Ray Allen, and Shane Battier leave Miami. Miami's obviously gonna make the playoffs, and they're gonna be in the 6th spot, maybe the 5th spot. They're projected to win 43. But I want to hear what you have to say about the Heat.
I think they're being underrated. I think they have something to prove. I think that the most interesting thing about this team is whether or not Chris Bosh, who will, depending on Dwayne Wade's health, will have to step up as the leader of the Miami.
I don't think Dwayne Wade is the same Wade we're talking about.
Well, neither is Chris Bosh.
I don't think I really like this lineup. But when you think about who you're replacing in this lineup, Luol Deng replacing LeBron James, isn't that bad of a placement? You're losing about 10 points from the starting.
Well, not only that, you're missing a lot when you replace LeBron for Dwayne Wade. LeBron is like the best steak you'll ever get, and Luol Deng is like your uncle making a steak and you telling him it's good.
I really like Josh McRoberts in this lineup. I think he's an improvement over Haslam. A big improvement.
Yeah.
Let's just say it's like replacing it's like replacing your 1987 Volkswagen with a 2003 Corolla. That's the replacement. It's newer, it's a little bit better, but it's not great.
Yeah.
But I like the replacement a lot. I think Mario Chalmers, I think the two biggest, the big three, and when I say big three, I mean biggest three who has something to prove, are Mario Chalmers, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. Dwayne Wade needs to get out of his wheelchair, disconnect the ivy that's been in his veins, and play like he's not actually 70 years old on this court. I think Chris Bosh has talked so much trash this season that it's gotten so ridiculous, and he needs something to prove. And Mario Chalmers needs to start scoring. He needs to stop being such a choke artist. But over or under for the Miami Heat, 43 wins.
I would say a little over. I'd give them not 50, low 40s to mid 40s. That's really the most I could give them. But
Okay.
I think they have. I think they'll do. I think they can exceed expectations.
Here comes the biggest knockout punch of the night. The Washington Wizards.
I love the Wizards.
50 wins for the Wizards. Does that sound like a plan to you?
That sounds about right. John Wall is playing the best basketball that he's had in his career. Bradley Beal, who we considered with him as the best backcourt, is also playing the best basketball of his career. They did lose. Lose Ariza. However, they brought in veteran Paul Pierce, who may or may not be a good replacement for them. That's yet to be decided.
I feel like this is a good lineup.
I like Gortat too. Gortat was excellent in that.
I like Chris Humphries being the backup to Nene. I like that. I think Chris Humphries has something to prove. I think he needs to start rebounding again, like if possible. But I think 50 wins. There's not much to say about the Wizards. Just that we'll just have to see how they play.
They're definitely gonna win the division, though.
They're gonna win the division. I like the way they play. I like the way they played in the playoffs. Because who they played in that first round? They played the Bulls in that first round. And they outlasted the Bulls really well. And then they went on to play the Pacers, correct?
No, the Pacers played Atlanta in the second.
Oh yeah, so they played the Heat?
Yeah.
Ah.
And then they lost to them. But now the Heat aren't even competition. Wizards took their place as, well, not in the second. Cleveland took Miami's place as the best in the East, but
we'll get to
between
Cleveland.
them and the Raptors, they're going to be second or third.
The Raptors, okay, who would win in a playoff matchup in a 7-game series between the Raptors and the Heat? No, Indiana did take on Washington in that second round. Because Miami took on Brooklyn.
Oh, and then Atlanta was against Indiana, because that's when they destroyed Roy Hibbert. That's right. That's right.
Well, we'll talk about Atlanta in a second, but let's just be quick because we're already almost 30 minutes into this broadcast and we're only on the first two divisions. So, anyways, quickly, Washington did well. I think their fans need to really show up this series for the playoffs next season, and I think they should be fine. Moving on to the Central. So we're gonna just do the Eastern Conference today, then we'll get to the Western Conference another time. So moving on to the Central Conference, everything the conference that everyone's been waiting for, obviously. The Central looking very strong, I think, except for the Pistons not the Pistons, the Bucks.
The Bucks. I like Jabari enough to where I'm not gonna hate on the Bucks, but you can't expect them to do well. Yanni is loved pretty much universally by every NBA analyst. Jabari was considered the most NBA ready out of all the rookies in a loaded 2014 NBA draft class. And Brandon Knight has a lot to prove too. So they're a young roster. They're not gonna win. Maybe 20, a little over 20 games at most. But I look forward to them in the future to see what they can do.
I like who they picked up. I think I'm happy they picked up Jared Dudley because that's not going to work out for them in any situation. Yeah. Maybe for star power, Kendall Marshall,
my Laker guy,
will make appearances.
I love Kendall. Follow him on Twitter.
Brandon Knight. I
like him. He's really remembered most for the DeAndre Jordan dunk. But I like Brandon Wright. He's not by any means the best point guard or even one of the best point guards. But
Brandon Knight, the problem with Brandon Knight is he was a Piston and then he was supposed to be like the
Next
savior.
big thing.
He was supposed to save this franchise, and he never really had that saving mentality when he came.
Or ability.